Hi. Yeah, this is my first video in English for this channel, and I would like to share with you some thoughts about this year, 2020. And at the same time, I would like to share with you a notion that is not exactly astrological, but it's related to the astrology of this year for sure. But the concept or the notion I am trying to reach with you during this video is not something exactly or specifically astrological. Let me explain it better. In a year like this, especially while in this last weekend, we had this full moon conjunct to Uranus, and this is a preview of what's going to happen in the end of this year when Saturn and Jupiter enters Aquarius. So we'll have some, at least the first month of 2021, very Aquarian, and then this Saturn remains in Aquarius for a while, and then we'll be living in a little bit more Aquarian world compared to this last 2 years. So during this time, we need to be used to sudden change in our plans, sudden change in the world, sudden change of roots, sudden change of our own mental and emotional states. And this sudden change will cause us some more than surprise, sometimes a lot of frustration. But why we got this kind of frustration with this sudden change? Because we are counting on something that should happen at these times, and possibly most of them will not happen exactly how we wanted to happen when we first began. So it brought me back something there, or a notion that I was dealing with, trying to manage with during the 90s, more or less 20 years ago, or almost 30 years ago. So at that time, it was a kind of fashion to say, oh, give up all expectations and do not apply any expectations on your projects, just remain open to whatever happened. But at that time, the way I understood it at that time, I thought, no, that's impossible. How can I how can I keep committed to a plan, keep committed to a result, or keep committed to something, including some commitment I have with someone else, if I am not expecting that something happen at the end? So this is very important, because at that time I couldn't imagine that giving up all expectations could be at least healthy, because I could reach apathy at the end. I could feel myself apathic. So this is not exactly healthy when we are trying to build a project or reach a goal at all. So I needed to qualify an expectation and not give up all the expectations, but just qualify an expectation that could be healthy and at the same time could maintain my interest in the end of a story, at least to be committed to do what I should be doing if I want something to happen. So it's a matter of also to remain flexible about my objectives. This is another matter. But now I want to focus on this expectation, this state of mind, this state of emotions that I usually call expectation. So if I have a rigid expectation or a closed expectation, I will only be satisfied with this project if these exactly results happen in the world. But that's too much to demand from the world, and that's too much to demand on ourselves and on other people too. So what's how can we get out of this maze? Okay, so let's qualify a kind of expectation. I reached there thinking on someone that enters need to wait for someone, for example, in a shopping center, and there's a cine there. So I'll make some time. I will spend some more a 1 hour or a 1 hour and a half in the movie. So I'm gonna see a movie here. So I enter a movie, and at the beginning, I don't know. I only know the title, but I don't know the synopsis, the story, the whatever. I don't know anything about this movie. So I enter that, and then after some minutes, I'm very curious about how this movie is gonna end, how this story is gonna finish at the end. So what will be the outcome of all this plot? How it is gonna happen at the end? What's gonna happen at the end? So I am curious, and this curiosity enhance my commitment to the end of the movie. It could happen at home, for example, watching something on TV or in whatever, Netflix, HBO, or filming, or all those platforms. But what I wanted you to understand, and I wanted you to think about is, what is this curiosity that I am applying it? I'm applying a curiosity on my expectation. So this kind of expectation is a curious expectation. So I'm inviting you to build in your minds now what would be to feel, or to feel inside this mental state called curious expectation. A curious expectation can keep you connected to a story. Like, for example, if you are reading a book also, you're just very curious about the end of this book. So you are committed to read, to turn the page, or at least searching for something in those pages, in those lines, in those words written there. And this is the commitment you need to bring a project of yours, or bring a plan to its conclusion. But at the same time, if you keep this curiosity, you are not forcing the results. You are not demanding some kind of results, because if you are demanding, you are not curious anymore. So if you keep curious, you are leaving a space to be surprised. So if you are leaving a space to be surprised, wow, that's curious. If it's curious, if you are curious about the results, you are not closed in such a result. When you bring this state of mind to your project, you keep flexible, for sure. You keep also a little, at least less serious about the results, less demanding, and at the same time more joyful about the building of a project, because you keep on joyous about this project, as well as if you were reading a book, a good book, or watching a good movie on your TV, or on the movies. So what I'm trying to tell you with this is reframing it. What I'm inviting you to try during these last months of this year, beginning now with this full moon Uranus, an Uranian full moon, to reach this kind of mental state that we could call curious expectation, in order to train it for the next year, when sudden change and global change maybe could happen during the beginning of this year. Will be already used to this mental state, and this mental state could be a very good tool to deal with the reality when this reality is changing all the time. And I think it's going to change. Many things are going to change, and it is already changing. For example, this last weekend with this full moon, we were invited to accept that some change we do not control. So we'd better be curious about what happened, instead of trying to force the results we wanted. So this is a very good perspective to begin next year, and it's very nice if we could begin now. But by now, I would like you to share with me what you think about this. If you agree with me, or if you are completely against my idea, it could happen. For sure, I am prepared for that. So if you want to share with me with some words at the end of this page, on your comments or anything else, just share with me. I will be very glad to answer questions and answer your criticisms too, if you have someone. But if you have more questions, I'm gladly to answer you too. Thank you very much for your attention until now. See you then.